Have you ever filmed a talking head video, sat down to edit it, and realized the editing takes longer than actually filming? You pause between sentences, you repeat yourself, you say filler words without noticing, and suddenly what should have been a simple edit turns into hours of cutting. And now there are AI tools like Descript and Gling that claim they can fix that for you. But when you actually try them, it's not always clear which one is better, or more importantly, which one fits how you like to create content. So in this video, we're breaking down Descript versus Gling AI, specifically for talking head videos, so you can understand which one actually saves time, which one gives you more control, and which one makes the most sense for your workflow. I'm Erin from AI Academy, and on this channel, we focus on what actually helps you create content faster without overcomplicating the process. Let's get into it. If you're editing talking head videos consistently, this decision will either save you hours every week or keep you stuck doing the same work over and over. What makes talking head video editing so time consuming? Before comparing tools, it helps to understand what actually slows people down. It's rarely the big edits, it's the small, repetitive ones. Cutting silence between sentences, removing filler words, rewatching clips just to trim a second or two, fixing pacing so the video doesn't feel awkward. That's where most of your time goes. And the issue isn't difficulty, it's how often you're repeating the same tiny cuts over and over again. So when people look for AI tools, they're not looking for more features, they're trying to remove that repetitive work, and that's exactly where Descript and Gling take two very different approaches. What cutting talking head videos actually means. When people say cutting talking head videos, it sounds simple, but this is where most of your time actually goes. You're not just trimming clips, you're removing pauses between sentences, you're cutting out filler words, tightening pacing so the video flows naturally, and making sure each idea connects smoothly to the next. And the key idea here is that most of these edits are extremely small. You're cutting fractions of a second over and over again, and that's what makes editing feel slow. It's not complexity, it's repetition. So when you're choosing between tools like Descript and Gling, what actually matters is how each one handles those micro edits, because that's where you either save time or lose it. Descript AI editing explained. Descript approaches editing by turning your video into text. So once you upload your footage, it generates a transcript. And from there, you edit your video by editing the words. So if you delete a sentence in the transcript, that part of the video is removed automatically. What this changes is how you think about editing. Instead of scrubbing through a timeline looking for cuts, you're reading through your content and making decisions based on what you said. That makes it easier to clean up your message, tighten your delivery, and remove anything that feels unnecessary without constantly replaying clips. On top of that, Descript includes tools for removing filler words automatically, adjusting audio, and even regenerating parts of your voice if needed. So it's not just cutting your video, it's helping you refine how your video sounds and flows. Gling AI editing explained. Gling takes a completely different approach. Instead of giving you control over the edit, it handles most of the editing for you upfront. You upload your video, it automatically removes silences, filler words, and mistakes without you having to go through everything manually. So instead of editing line by line, you're reviewing a version that's already been cleaned up. What this feels like is skipping the most time-consuming parts of editing entirely. You're not searching for pauses, you're not trimming every sentence. The tool has already done that. And that's why Gling feels faster right away. It reduces the amount of effort needed before your video is even close to finished. Step-by-step workflow, Descript versus Gling. To make this more clear, let's actually walk through what happens when you use each tool. With Descript, you upload your footage, wait for it to transcribe, and then go through your video as text. You delete sentences, clean up phrasing, remove filler words, and shape your content step by step. So the workflow is still active, but it's more structured and easier to manage. With Gling, the process is much shorter. You upload your video, let it process, and it gives you a cleaned up version right away. So instead of editing first, you're reviewing first, and that's the key difference. Descript helps you edit faster, and Gling reduces how much editing you need to do at all. Descript versus Gling AI key differences. At a surface level, both tools are trying to solve the same problem, which is cutting your videos faster. But the way they handle that problem is completely different. With Descript, you're still involved in the edit, just in a more structured way. You're reading, refining, and shaping your content as you go. With Gling, most of the editing is already done before you even start reviewing. So the real difference isn't just features, it's where the work happens. With Descript, you're shaping the edit. With Gling, you're reviewing the result, and that difference is what actually changes your workflow. What Descript feels like to use. When you're using Descript, it feels like you're actively shaping your content. You're reading through your transcript, spotting what doesn't sound right, and refining your delivery in a way that improves how your video comes across. That makes it especially useful if you care about clarity and structure. If you want your videos to sound intentional and polished, this gives you the control to do that. At the same time, you're still making decisions. So while it's faster than traditional editing, it's not automatic. It's more like guided editing instead of manual editing. What Gling feels like to use. Gling is more like delegation than editing. You upload your footage, you let it process, and it gives you something that's already been cleaned up. So instead of building your edit from scratch, you're starting from a nearly finished version. That's what makes it powerful. You're not spending time on repetitive cuts, you're just reviewing and making small adjustments if needed. But because of that, you're also giving up some control. You're trusting the tool to decide what gets removed and stays, and for a lot of creators, that trade-off is worth it. When each tool starts to break down. Both tools work well, but they start to feel different depending on your content. Gling works best when your videos are simple and consistent. If you're speaking clearly and your pacing is steady, it handles most of the work well. But if your content relies on timing, storytelling, or intentional pauses, automatic cuts can sometimes feel too aggressive. With Descript, it holds up better as your content becomes more detailed. If you need to control how something sounds or flows, having that text-based editing makes a bigger difference. So Gling is stronger for speed. Descript becomes stronger as your content becomes more intentional. Which tool is better for talking head videos? If your content is simple, consistent, and you're trying to post more frequently, Gling is going to save you more time. It removes the part of editing that slows you down the most, and it also provides text-based editing from a transcript after they edit the cuts for you. But if your content relies more on delivery, structure, or storytelling, Descript gives you more control over how everything comes together. So neither one is universally better. They're built for different types of creators. And once you understand that, the decision becomes much easier. Descript versus Gling pricing, what's actually worth it for talking head videos? Now let's look at pricing, but more importantly, what you're actually getting for that price depending on how you create content. Starting with Descript, there is a free plan, which is enough to test how the platform works, but you'll run into limits pretty quickly if you're editing consistently. Then you have the hobbyist plan at $16 per month, which gives you more usage, but for most creators, the real starting point is $24 per month. That's where you unlock the core features like more transcription hours, better editing tools, and the ability to actually use it as your main editing workflow. Then the business plan at $50 per month is more for higher volume creators or teams. Now here's what matters. With Descript, you're not just paying to cut your videos, you're paying for control over how your content sounds and flows. If you're someone who records talking head videos and you care about how your delivery comes across, like removing awkward phrasing, tightening your messaging, or making your video feel more structured, then that $24 per month is usually worth it because you're still involved in shaping the final result. Now looking at Gling, there is also a free plan which is useful for testing, but similar to Descript, you'll need to upgrade it if you're posting consistently. So the Plus plan is $20 a month, the Pro plan is $40, and the Elite plan is $100. So each plan goes higher depending on how much footage you're processing. But the key difference here is what you're paying for. With Gling, you're not paying for more editing tools, you're paying to remove the editing process itself. If your content is straightforward talking head videos where you're mostly cutting out pauses, filler words, and mistakes, then Gling can replace a huge portion of your editing time. So for a lot of creators, that $20 or $40 per month isn't about features, it's about getting hours back of your time. And this is where the real decision comes in. If you're creating talking head content where your priority is speed and consistency, meaning you want to film, upload, and get your video as quickly as possible, then Gling is usually going to feel more worth it because it removes the part of editing that slows you down the most. But if you're creating talking head content where delivery actually matters, like you're explaining something, telling a story, or trying to sound more polished and intentional, then Descript becomes more valuable because it gives you control over how your content is shaped, not just how fast it's cut. So it's not really about which one is cheaper, it's about what kind of creator you are. If you want speed, Gling is going to feel more worth it. If you want more control, Descript is going to feel more worth it. And once you're clear on that, the pricing becomes a lot easier to justify. If you want to try either of these tools yourself, you can use the links below to get started with Descript or Gling and see which one fits your workflow. How this impacts your content output long term. Over time, the tool you choose affects how much content you actually produce. If editing feels heavy, you're going to post less. If editing feels easier, you'll post more. And the more you post, the faster you improve. So this isn't just about editing, it's about consistency. Final thoughts, the real goal isn't editing faster, it's finishing more content. At the end of the day, the goal isn't just to edit faster, it's to actually finish your content and get it out. Most people don't fall behind because they can't film, they fall behind because editing takes too long. So whichever tool helps you stay consistent is the one that matters most. If this helped, make sure you subscribe for more videos like this where we break things down step by step. And if you want to try either of these tools for yourself, you can use the links below to get started with Descript or Gling, depending on what fits your workflow the best. I'm Erin from AI Academy. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.